Right, we're on. Welcome, bienvenidos, and welcome to a new episode of Sayonara Baseball. It's the season finale, fifth postseason together with Kazuki. My name is Brandon Payne Beiser. He is Kazuki Akiba. It's been a week since we ended this baseball season, a little over a week, and I still think we're as frustrated by what happened at the end then as we are now as baseball fans. So we're going to get into that. But first, we got two notes. First bit of news, then second, a tribute that's well earned, well deserved. I'll get to that in a second. But first, some late breaking reporting news. Korean baseball legend, South Korea's own Shin Soo-soo, has retired from baseball. He played 16 seasons in Major League Baseball. He played 4 seasons back in the KBO most recently. I found out that he signed with the Mariners out of high school, which was unprecedented to a certain degree. Usually you go professional and then you get posted and you move over. He did not. He signed with the Mariners, played minors, came with the Mariners 4 years later. He is the all-time hits leader in Major League Baseball for a player of South Korean descent. He is the first Korean position player named to an all-star team. That was 2018. They say he played 16 seasons in Major League Baseball, 4 additional seasons in the KBO most recently, so 20 total seasons. I mean, I remember him as a Mariner because it was like, who is this guy who got the Mariners brought up when we were like Ichiro was a huge deal. You had Kazasaki, you had Shigetoshi Hasagawa, you had Kenji Jojo. And also we have a Korean player now too, and it was, I think, it just added to that Asian influence, particularly in Seattle, but also throughout baseball. I mean, we had several Korean players come along in the last decade, but he was kind of like the one that, like I said, broke the mold. It's like, you didn't play in the KBO? What are you going to do here? That's the first I remember about him. And the second thing is, like, dude was a good hitter. I mean, he was just like a solid hitter. I mean, that's my memory of him.
Yeah, I mean, until Shohei Ohtani surpassed him in the home run ranking, he was the home run king for all of baseball. Whoever was from the Asian descent, he had over 200 home runs throughout his MLB career, and I just remember him as like a speed and average, like high average, like kind of like Steven Kwan type of threat. And he was in the Cleveland at the time Indians, but Guardians team for like several years before he signed that massive deal with the Rangers. And honestly, the Rangers deal, we all thought that was a horrible deal for them at the time, but that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it was a pretty good deal. And they said he became an all-star at the Rangers, and that's kind of where he left his mark Major League Baseball. So congratulations to him. But we're gonna change the tone a little bit. If you remember, our last episode was published one day before Fernando Valenzuela passed away, or the night of. And we've talked about this before. Kazuki and I love going down memory lane with some baseball legends of the era when we were probably very young or just before we were kind of like, born. For both of us, Fernando Valenzuela was probably one of the first real baseball legends we ever kind of got a hold of. Came into the league in the early 80s out of Mexico. And what he did over a 17-year MLB career is, particularly that first season, but everything is pretty remarkable. But we're going to dive into a tribute, a very warm tribute to Fernando Valenzuela, because I think, like I've said, we'll talk about this afterwards, but his memory is etched in our minds as being like the first real legend of an era when we were kind of like just understanding what baseball was. So originally from Navajo, Mexico, Valenzuela played with 6 clubs over the course of a 17-year career in Major League Baseball. Most notably, his first 11 seasons were spent with the Los Angeles Dodgers. The parade for the Los Angeles Dodgers winning the World Series was held on his birthday. Very lucky coincidence and ceremonial, but it meant a lot. Because if you ask a lot of Dodgers players, a lot of players might be, this is who they looked up to. His first season Major League Baseball, well, he joined the team, I think, in 1980 in September. Pitched a couple games. I was like, who is this kid? He's great. Comes back in 1981 And here's how the story goes. He was not supposed to be the opening day starter. There was an injury. If this sounds familiar, this is how he met Dusty May in 2020. And he starts opening day for them. And all eyes of Dodgers fans were just washed over in this incredible performance by this young player. And this was the beginning of what was called Fernando Mania. During that, it was a strike-shortened season that he started. He led the National League in innings pitched, 192 and a third, and all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts, 180. He led the NL in games started and complete games. Of the 25 games he started, 11 were complete games. A thing that is so far gone from where we are right now. He then gets to the 1981 World Series. He pitched the winner-take-all Game 5 in the NLCS prior to that in Montreal at the famous Olympic Stadium. He went 8 2/3, 3 hits, striking out 6 Expo batters. Now, there's a story that during this game, when he was taken out by then manager Tommy Lasorda, he stopped for a second as he was walking to the dugout and took a breath. It was the first time that he had seen his breath in cold air because they're playing in Montreal in the fall, late fall. So, I mean, this was like, what an experience for this kid at the time. So they won the game. They go to the World Series. The first home game, Game 3, he pitches a complete game, 147 pitches, 4 earned runs, 9 hits, 6 strikeouts. He did have 7 walks, which everyone kind of criticizes, rightfully so, because that's a lot against the Yankees, allowing 2 home runs. But the Dodgers won the World Series. And this obviously was like the cap of Fernando Mania. Like this sealed it. I mean, if you ask people from the 1981 World Series in Dodgers fans, this is how they remember it. It started with Fernando. It ended with Fernando. 11 seasons with the Dodgers. He briefly played with the California Angels before returning to Mexico in 1992. And then from 93-97, he played the Orioles, Phillies, Padres, and Cardinals. He retired from Major League Baseball after his brief time with the Cardinals, returned to his native Mexico. Some final stats. He concluded his MLB career with a 153 record, a 3.5 ERA, and 2,074 strikeouts. That's where his baseball career could have stopped in America, but it did not. He then spent the last 20 years up until, he took his sudden break from the team this past season. He spent 20 years on the Spanish language broadcast for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I think that's probably why he means a lot to you and I. At least that the playing career is amazing. Like the first Dodgers jersey I remember seeing was a Fernando Valenzuela jersey someone wearing. Who is this guy? What does he do? Like, he's a pitcher. How good was he? Have you ever heard of Fernando Mania? Because that was kind of like the big storyline, out of the early 80s. I mean, we're both 90s kids, but that's where our people of teenagers who introduce us to baseball, our parents, like, have you heard of this story? And I think that's what, but then obviously the broadcast. None of us are not native Spanish speakers. But if there's one market that has a Spanish language broadcast that is pretty well known over the last 20, 30 years, it's the Dodgers. Fernando Valenzuela. I think that's really what made it. It's like he spent 20 years in Major League Baseball and then 20 years outside of it in 2 very visible roles. I think that's probably what, sealed his memory for me, is like he was everywhere for 40 years, Major League Baseball.
Honestly, he was the only international icon for the Dodgers. I know there was Nomo in the 90s that we grew up watching, but it was, if you think of Dodgers, it's not like about any of these players, but Fernando Valenzuela until like the recent decade was this like new core, like the Dodgers players, and probably Shohei Ohtani probably in the next decade or so.
I mean, like I say, he etched the Mexican experience into people's minds in baseball. in Los Angeles. So Mexican native in Los Angeles, best pitcher on the team. I mean, like, it was just a storybook that introduced a world to baseball in a beautiful way. We'll remember him fondly. We are glad the Dodgers can celebrate on his birthday, and we're going to get to that now. The Los Angeles Dodgers best New York Yankees in 5 games. We're going to go through games 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to take a break because we have to spend a lot of time on games 4 and 5. So game 1 in Los Angeles, we could talk about whatever we want in the actual game, but the fact of the matter is this game ended on a walk-off grand slam by broken Freddie Freeman. He missed the previous game with his ankle injury. First game he has started. Stanton hits a home run. Go-ahead two-run home in the 6th. Verdugo ending with a strikeout. So it was, okay, Dodgers failed to score in the bottom of the 7th. They're getting 2 runners on. He had a sacrifice bunt, a pop-out, a ground-out, so that didn't work. Dodgers tied the game on a bet sack fly when Ohtani scored after advancing on error from his original double, which, speaking of errors, calamity begins.
This is like the key theme of this whole series is fundamentals.
Right. Yankees go ahead on a 10th inning RBI ground out. Jess Chisholm Jr., but it's why they got him, stole 3rd, and then he comes home. And then the bottom of the 10th.
This one's probably the most baffling one.
Right, the bottom of the 10th. So we're gonna start with Jake Cousins, who has barely pitched, comes in relief Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver's pitched a lot, so I get why you relieve Luke Weaver, but really, Will Smith flyout, Gavin Lux walks, Tom Edmonds singles. Then they bring in Nestor Cortez, the classic bring a starter in the last inning of the game.
Yeah, but here's the context that I disagree with bringing Nestor Cortez here. Nestor Cortez has been on the injured list since September 18th. He's been out for 4 weeks and got asked to pitch in a high-level situation of a World Series game when he has not pitched for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's not helpful. The classic, bring a starter in, but why him? Just why?
Like, why not Tim Hill at that point?
Yeah, and so again, at this point, the Dodgers make another switch, bring in Chris Taylor, base runner supreme, and for Gavin Lux, Ohtani flies out and both runners advance, and that's what did it. That's what did it.
I mean, that was a good play by Verdugo going into the the crowds. Like that was.
Yeah, he made a play for all play, but
and that's 2 outs too.
There's 2 outs, so they intentionally walk Mookie Betts, bring a double play possibility, and it's Freddie Freeman and bombs away.
First pitch, meatball. Yep.
Yeah,
meatball thrown.
6-3 game over. But we're gonna start seeing Aaron Boone managing decisions minus here. Error that cost you a run. Theme of the show. Game 2. Dodgers 4, Yankees 2. So Dodgers are gonna leave Los Angeles with 2-0. Home runs from Edman, Teoscar Hernandez, and Freddie Freeman. Yankees get home from Soto. Yankees almost put together a comeback, load the base with 1 out, but failed to bring in any more runs after the RBI single by Stanton.
Yeah, I think that's the baffling decision too. I get they were facing a lefty. I believe it was Vesia for that last inning, and they bring in instead of pitch it Wells. That's fine because he's a lefty for a righty. But why out of everyone, Jose Trevino to pinch hit, who is not a good hitter?
And then Aaron Judge, strikes out 3 times, goes hitless in the game. So, they just were not. This was not coming together well for them. The scary moment in this game was the botched stolen base by Shohei Ohtani. Goes in on a steal in the bottom of the 7th, and he dug his arm in the ground and twisted, he knew something was wrong. Removed from the game. Scary seeing everyone's holding their breath. Cleared by medical team. Come to game 3, turns out to be, pop your shoulder back into place on a situation, it seemed like, but just still, ouch. And that's how we end that. Game 3, we go to New York. Freddie Freeman hits his 3rd home run of the World Series. I believe this is now the 6th home run in a row, the 5th home run in a row since his time with the Braves. Aaron Judge goes hitless. Why? The Verdugo provides the only offense with a bottom of the ninth inning. Dodgers used 7 pitchers to pitch 4 innings, which is bites them in the back when they come talk about game 4. Walker Buehler, 5 innings is nearly spotless baseball. So at this point, we're thinking Dodger got that's the thing in the bag. Sweep, we're done. Game over. So we'll set our table there because we've covered 3 games. Quick break. Coming up after the break, we got more World Series. Today's episode, Sayonara Baseball, presented by Anchor, Spotify for podcasters. Anchor is the platform that helps us create and deliver you this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. It's available on the go, at home, at no cost. Remember, to get started with creating your own work on Anchor, visit anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start. Welcome back. World Series, Game 4. Yankees are down 3-0. So this is the 6th game in the World Series, 6th straight World Series game where Freddie Freeman's hit a home run. Open the game with another home run. 4th of this World Series. 6th overall in a row. Yankees fan tried to rip the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove in foul territory. Like, what is happening? Just what?
Just trash fan, man.
Trash moment. Fan gets removed. Totally can't come back for game 5. Because we know what happens this game. Yankees just went absolute ham in this game. Grand slam by Verdugo. Take a 5-2 lead in the 3rd and never looked back. I mean, that's how I look at this game. They just took out everything they could in this game and won 11-4. Like, they just swung for the fences on everything. Did you think they had a chance to do something else after this game, or is it just kind of like 1 and out?
I mean, at this point, I thought they had a good momentum, right? They have Garrett Cole pitching in game 5. Their offense is somehow back, so I thought they would at least take one more game here and take it back to LA. But then I did not expect disaster to come.
And that's what we have. We have disaster in game 5. The Dodgers win 7-6 in this game. Yankees start off good. Judge home run. Jazz Chisholm Jr. home run. And then we get to the 5-0 deficit. The Dodgers came back in this game, obviously. Garrett Cole has pitched well in this World Series, this postseason. He's got 2.17 ERA in this postseason. We'll have only 2 active pitchers with 4 World Series starts of 6+ innings. But the 5th inning, you call it a raging blunder. And I have not seen baseball fans this angry where they like yell at a TV screen. People are yelling at the TV screen during the 5th inning. Kike Hernandez hits a single. Judge drops the ball. I mean, like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, it was a routine play. He just was looking at first base and just drops the ball.
Volpe commits an error. So now we got runners on base. Garrett Cole somehow comes away 2 outs, striking out Lux and Ohtani. And then Mookie Betts comes up. Ladies and gentlemen, when the ball is hit to first base and the first baseman is back and the pitcher goes to get the ball, there are 2 options. The pitcher runs through first base or the first baseman meets him and he gently tosses the ball to first base. Kazuki, which of those options happen in this scenario?
It's answer C. None.
Answer is C. None of the above. And Joe Davis is losing his mind calling this. Like, what is happening? He's called Dodgers games all season. He calls a lot of baseball. The radio broadcast losing. What is happening? Who do you think should have covered first base in this scenario? Because that's a literal question here. Who should have covered first base?
Your $36 million man should have covered first base. Clearly, Rizzo was playing back, and it looked like Rizzo was expecting Cole to cover first base, which is why he didn't charge in. But none of them did any of their job. I mean, if I was Rizzo, I would have probably charged for the ball and make sure like I get that first because Mookie was running was intent. You know,
Yeah,
he has
Mookie
to
was
beat the back.
it's
You know, his
two
base is
outs.
loaded.
He is running all out to get on first base.
Yeah. Your job is to get out of the jam. Like your pitcher freaking pitched 2 strikeouts, was the bases loaded, could have gotten out of a noble tiger there, and neither of them didn't think things through, or I don't know if they're concentration lapse or if they just never practiced
didn't do
this.
their job. I mean, it's like like you said, fundamentals ruin the Yankees, and fundamentals ruin them in this inning. Because then this goes absolutely sideways. We have a Freddie Freeman 2-run single. That's 5-3. Then we got a Teoscar Hernandez 2-run double. And Freddie Freeman somehow wheels his way around from first, bum ankle and all. It's 5-5. New York Post author Joel Sherman basically summed this up beautifully. What was the Dodgers' strategy for this entire World Series to win?
Running was intent, aggressive base running. Doesn't matter like how you hit it, just run was intent.
Right.
Make
Run
the
with
Yankees
intent.
play.
Run with intent, put every ounce of pressure on them to make every play clean. And what happens in game 1 and game 5? One bad play to another bad play, and this one really bit them.
They imploded. Yep.
It was 6-6, and then what? The
and
Dodgers
a sac fly.
A sac fly. The Dodgers won the World Series on a sacrifice fly. They had this game in the bag, the Yankees, in the 5th inning. 2 down, bases loaded, and a dribbler to first. And it's like, the bottom falls out. And it fell out horribly.
Yeah.
Horribly.
And you know what? Dodgers, like props to the Dodgers front office. All the Yankees fans, including myself, could say this. Yankees are talent first, fundamental second. They clearly did not like practice routine baseball. It's like little league stuff that they can't even execute. It's mind-boggling.
And I think this game, everyone talked about how this game showed how the front office of the Dodgers just analytics their way to like, we're going to build a team of strong players, but also, like specifically strong players. Like the Dodgers have some players who are not, household type name type players. You're relying on Kike Hernandez, Tommy Edman to do a lot of things, Teoscar Hernandez, but you surround them with a Will Smith behind the plate, with a Freddie Freeman, with a Shohei Ohtani, with a Mookie Betts, and it all comes together. We were all perplexed that the Dodgers didn't have a better pitching staff the whole season.
I mean, they were all injured. I mean, right. Tyler Glasnow was your ace, and he was done for the season.
And then Jack Flaherty saved you just enough. Walker Buehler coming back off 2 years away from baseball with his Tommy John surgery, saved you just enough. And the bullpen just pieced it all together. Their bullpen doesn't have, a bunch of household names. Like Blake Trinan was an all-star at some point. But most of these guys, other than Michael Kopech is a reclamation project.
I mean, Bessia, I guess, has been pretty consistently good. And then you have Daniel Hudson, the 2019 World Series hero there.
But that's it. And like I said, their GM is Andrew Freeman.
He's the president of baseball operation. You have Brandon Gomez, I think, as a GM.
Right.
But yeah, basically Freeman.
Right. Tampa Bay raised his way to a championship with the biggest budget
money.
In baseball.
Yeah, but with superstars.
Right. He had the budget of the Dodgers and the mindset of being a Rays personnel officer. Rays did everything on a budget. I'm at the Dodgers now. I have a budget. I have no budget. I'm going to spend to the hilt. And he, spent $1 billion last offseason. And here we go.
Yep. And then
Dodgers
Yankees,
Dodgers, have second World Series in 5 years. Freddie Freeman gets named MVP, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs across 5 games. The Dodgers outscored the Mets 37-7 in the NLCS and limiting to the Yankees to 7 runs in games 1, 2, and 3. Several 2020 champions were on the team, including Mookie Betts, Walker Buehler. You had another World Series champion, Freddie Freeman, from the Braves from 2021.
And then I guess Kike too, 2020 and 24.
Yeah, Kike was on the team. Dave Roberts wins his 3rd championship, second as a manager, first one as previous as a player. We always know Dave Roberts. Red Sox won that World Series. Base running 101 won that World Series.
And also a great Netflix show that's out there right now.
About the Red Sox. That's it's not called The Comeback or something. The Comeback.
Yeah, about the 04, yeah.
First World Series win for Shohei Ohtani. Maybe the first of many. We don't know that. But you sign a guy for $700 million to be your DH, essentially for at least 1, probably 2 seasons. Here we go. The Yankees won 94 regular season games, but struggled their way all the way through the postseason. I mean, they beat the Guardians.
I mean, they only could beat AL Central throughout the past, through this Boone Cashman regime era. They can only beat the AL Central, and then they lose to any other team that's not AL Central.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
And then we gotta mention their MVP.
Aaron Judge batting 184 with 3 home runs in 14 games in a postseason is
unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Yeah, unacceptable is a great word for it. He'll probably win the AL MVP. But what a sad closing to that story.
Yeah,
he did nothing.
I mean, he looked like he was gonna. To be honest, he looked like he was heating up in Game 5, but it was like little too late, you know.
Yeah, I mean that Game 5 home run really kind of sent the crowd into a happy, optimistic state. But his defense failed him. His own defense, everyone else's defense failed him.
And then the base running, it's a fundamental flaw of this front office where I feel like they don't learn fundamentals. And I think if you go through the Joel Sherman story, like Mookie Betts, he's a superstar who knows how to play defense. If he making mistakes, even in practice, he's practicing 20 times to make sure he has that routine straight. You did not see that type of discipline from the Yankees.
And the discipline that you talk about with Mookie Betts has played several different positions with the Dodgers. He's played right field. We talked about the right field play from the 2020 World Series. Yeah. He's played shortstop. He's played second. Has he played third at all or not really? No.
Just second base.
Just second. So middle infield and right field. And he's played fairly well across all of those. Obviously, the Dodgers have players who can stand into. They got Chris Taylor. They got Gavin Lux. They got a lot of other random players, play those spots. But Mookie Betts I'll shift around and play around like that. Like I said, Shohei Ohtani is not coming out in the outfield and playing.
I mean, he can if he really wanted to.
If he really wanted to, but he's your set in stone DH. You had Muncy. You got was it Rojas? You had Rojas who played some games. Edmonds playing out in the outfield. You got Teo. You got everybody. Just random collection of somewhat stars in these teams. But at the corner, he had Freddie Freeman. He's going to do his job. Behind the dish, you got Will Smith. Probably the best catcher in baseball.
Actually, funny trivia for you. Since 2020, we had a player named Will Smith win a World Series every year. Will Smith.
Because Will Smith, the pitcher, won it
3 times in a row. And then he had Will Smith, the catcher, won 2020 and now 24. So 5 years in a row.
Yeah, Will Smith. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And also World Series champion. It's just the Dodgers showed every reason why they should win a World Series. I mentioned I didn't pick them to get there.
Honestly, I think if you look back on the whole postseason, the NLDS was probably a deciding factor of who's going to win the World Series. Them or the Padres. I think they were built for it.
Oh yeah, when that series happened, it was I agree. Slam Diego. We're going to put as many balls in play as we possibly can. Oh wait, we have to play the team that can pretty much is like the one team that can shut us down or outplay us. and they did both in that series. Play the Mets. The Mets can run up the score on you. The Dodgers limited that to a certain degree. The Yankees never played, like a high-scoring affair type of game.
Right. I mean, they relied on Giancarlo Stanton hitting a home run to save them, or Juan Soto. So, it's a
Against
really
the
flawed team.
Royals, against the Guardians, nothing. None of it really panned out. And that's the season, folks. I mean, thank you for another great season. Thank you for another, postseason. This is our 5th postseason together. Like I said, subscribe on YouTube now. Keep looking at the podcast feed. We still make our announcements on LinkedIn, so keep all those together. Shout out to Cowboy Bob, Regular Virginia, Margaret Shelton, Boone, Winnie, Bandit, Gatsby, Jake, all the dogs. We're going to continue that into 2025, folks. We're going to be calling all the dogs every game. Like I said, we change up our plan every winter. Last year we had 2 great interviews. We had one with Dr. Henry. We had one with Todd. We'll see what we want to do. Hot stove season is like they're preheating right now. We got a couple little moves here and there, but nothing, serious. Juan Soto, we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll bring our couple of our friends and talk about that. But we'll figure that out. But to close this season, I find the words of something from the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season, Houston Astros playing Oakland Athletics. On the mic for the Oakland Athletics, the last season of Oakland Athletics, Jenny Kavnar, former Rockies broadcaster. But on the other side, standing in the booth, is Houston Astros reporter, Julie Morales. Everyone bills this as, 2 female broadcasters. Great moment. Love it. But the home run call of the day, Alex Bregman comes up. And this line from Julie Morales is the perfect way to end, beginning the season. It's going to end that season. You can say you can say bye to that baseball, y'all. You can say bye to that baseball, y'all, because that's the season. We started with, what's going to happen this year, and we ended with a home run explosion in this World Series. So, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We'll probably say a happy holiday season. Maybe I'll give you a little happy new year. But until next time, you can say bye to that baseball, y'all.
Bye.
And we're out.